Corey Holcomb. Let's get into him, the truth that he told or the things that he says, and let's break down his chart through astrology. The first thing is that Corey Holcomb is a good old sun in Cancer. And so that gives him sensitivity, that gives him high intuition. But one of the ways that I kind of knew that he was possibly a Cancer was his situation with Marcus, one of the guys who had been on his show 5150. And Corey and Marcus kind of got into a little tit for tat confrontation. But what Marcus did was only retaliation for stuff that Corey was starting to say about him and the things that others were starting to say about them both. And so Corey reacted in an extremely sensitive manner. But there are other things in this chart that let me know that it wasn't all Marcus's fault. Because Corey has Moon in Gemini, which Gemini is already a scatterbrain sign. And to add that to emotions means a lot of things. This is a person who emotionally may be everywhere, who may feel like they are disconnected, or they may feel one mood in 10 seconds and then another mood in 20 seconds. Picture a moody Cancer on steroids. This is a Cancer moody sign on steroids when you add Gemini to Corey Holcomb's emotional life, which is what the moon means. And so it also means that Corey Holcomb can be two-faced. It means that Corey Holcomb can say one thing and yet do another. It points to him some hypocrisy. And Cam Newton, despite him not showing a lot of intellect, pointed out the hypocrisy, the two-faced side of Moon and Gemini. And so that was exposed during the show. Corey is Mercury in Gemini, which also means that he has quick-witted logic. It gives him that sense of humor. But it also means he's going to talk a lot. And if you've ever noticed on the 5150 show, he never stays on one particular topic. And even when Cam Newton was conducting the interview, Corey was jumping from topic to topic to topic. And that's why this, and this goes this, that's Gemini. That's scattered energy, because Gemini's brain jumps from one thing to one thing to one thing. It jumps in multiple different lanes. And also, once again, you got that two-faced. And Gemini and Mercury can be a liar. You see, Moon in Gemini means you lie to yourself, because this is your emotional life. This is your thought life. But Mercury in Gemini means that you are quick to tell a lie. And that lying, or speaking two sides of the truth, which is what lying essentially is speaking alternate versions or versions that don't exist of the truth, multiple versions. That's also Mercury in Gemini. And then we add Venus in Cancer. And Venus in Cancer and Mars in Cancer mean that Corey Holcomb is extremely sensitive. So even though he tried to play off Cam Newton and saying that people talk about him all the time, that doesn't mean he doesn't get sensitive about it. That doesn't mean that deep down he gets angry about the fact that he's talked about. But there are other things in this chart that bring out a lot that had to do with that. There are 4 different connections to Lilith in Corey Holcomb's chart. Lilith, and Corey has Lilith in Gemini. Once again, we got that Gemini. We got that two-face. And that's the dark side of him. You see, Lilith deals with the dark side of our personalities. The side that we might not necessarily acknowledge. The part of ourselves that we don't see, but it's on the inner part of ourselves. And it's part of our emotional life, because Lilith is just an aspect of the moon. But this Lilith aspect, when we talk about the moon going against it, when we talk about Mars going against it, when we talk about Jupiter going against it, here's the rundown on all those things. Corey Holcomb is a shock jock. And when you have Lilith in Gemini, it means that those rumors, they stick. Because Lilith in Gemini can spread a rumor about you. Gemini has to do with communication. And so Corey Holcomb has spread lots of rumors. But that Lilith goes against Jupiter. It has a bad aspect to Jupiter. And that means that it has cost him money. It means that Corey Holcomb, like he said in that interview with Cam, certain circles he has not been able to intercept or to get into is because people know that he's a gossip and they don't want to deal with him. And so they pushed him out. It's happened with Tyler Perry. It's happened with Lee Daniels. It's happened with all of these people in Hollywood who Corey has talked about over the years. These people have decided that they don't want to deal with him. They have decided that he's too much of a risk because he's going to say too much or do too much, which is Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of overdoing. Corey Holcomb is going to say too much or do too much and is going to ruin what these people have going on. Not only that, Corey Holcomb has a Lilith in contact with his Neptune, and it's a negative aspect, which means that he lies to himself. Once again, we got this delusion. We got this I lie to myself. The dark side of myself is that I lie to me. That Lilith in Gemini, that deception, that over talking. Not only do I lie a lot, but I lie to myself as well. And also, to flip the game, even though it has cost him money, Lilith trine Uranus. Uranus is the planet of eccentricity. It's the planet of shock, which is what Corey Holcomb does. And so what it gives Corey Holcomb the ability to do is just like that stuff he spread about Will Smith. It gives him the ability to turn shock and awe into money, to make it concrete. It gives him the ability to turn that shock factor. People clutch the pearls anytime Corey Holcomb is in the building because they know he is about to say something wild. He's about to do something wild. And the same thing happened with Wendy Williams. Now, I don't know if Wendy Williams has these particular aspects, but I do know that she's a Cancer. And so it seems that Cancer is oftentimes in the middle of a lot of gossip, in the middle of a lot of talking about people. And so Corey Holcomb is known for that. And so a lot of circles have cast him out because he's talked about people, and a lot of times he has not been accepted because of the things that he says and some of his viewpoints on other things. And sometimes he's right, and a lot of times he's wrong, because just last night he was caught spreading and saying something about somebody, and in the chat he said something about Angel Reese, matter of fact. And in the chat, they said that's just a rumor. That's not true. That hasn't been confirmed. And he recanted right there, live on the air. So Corey Holcomb will tell a lie. So I'm not going to say that everything that comes out of his mouth is valid, even about Dr. Bryant. But it is interesting that what he said about Dr. Bryant is something that I pinpointed in my videos on her. When I said nobody knows about her past. Her past seems to be a big old secret. And Corey Holcomb said, oh, she was working in a strip club. And, you know, her bodyguard, she was messing with females. A lot of that adds up. When you look back at the chart, a lot of that adds up. That aggression against men, the fact that everybody that she's come out against and spoken against publicly is a man, whether it's Nick Cannon, whether it's Cam Newton, everybody and every man that she talks to, she cuts him down. Everybody except 50 Cent, who she hasn't interviewed yet. But it's obvious, like Corey Holcomb said, she didn't say anything bad about him because she wants an opportunity with him. But she's hustling. She's a liar as well. And Cam Newton said something interesting. He said everybody on his show is in the game. And so that goes to show you that there's something going on. There's a network of lying going on. So people are lying on these shows. Corey Holcomb don't seem to be telling 100% of the truth. Cam Newton ain't telling 100% of the truth. Cheyenne Bryan most definitely ain't telling the truth. But it's interesting when you look at this chart, what we find out about Corey Holcomb.